Bush. Great.
Welcome, music multiverse listeners. Welcome to Beyond Your Radio. Welcome to Panelists' favorite show. And this one is all about albums we're thankful for. It could be made, maybe it's a new sound connection. It got you through a tough time. It made you aware of something. It made us take notice of a genre or band or artist, or helped us fall in love with them. It could also be that it was a gift that we were not expecting from an artist band that kind of gave us a bit more after they were maybe done. I mean, anything. You get the idea. Before we begin the thankfuls, let me say how much I'm thankful for everyone watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please think about doing so. It doesn't cost you anything. All it does is alert you when we posted a new video and allow you quick access to our channel. Please hit the like button if you feel thankful yourself. And what albums are you thankful for and why? Well, leave a comment. Otherwise, we'll never know. We'll just be guessing. I promise we will reply. Good evening, afternoon, or whatever it is for the panelists, depending on where you're all at. Let me start off by saying how thankful I am for each and every one of you, and that we have every solitary panelist who's participated since we started on the show tonight. So we will certainly try to be somewhat timely. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, right.
On the panel tonight, and remember, Thanksgiving. You know, this is why we're doing this. On the panel tonight, the best spatchcocker on the show, the Grateful Dude, Chef Jeff Johnson. The man who's gravy damn talents.
It's his show.
Yes.
The man
You know
who's
what
gravy damn
spatchcocking is, huh?
talents. Wow, this is going to be a long show. The man whose gravy damn talents are legendary with mashed potatoes, Jeff Young from Florida. The young man who's gobbling up subscribers for us, Everett James from Hawaii. A woman who takes corn seriously, Susie Q. A woman who loves the Cranberries, Deb Armitage Hicks Maloney. American Pie, Pumpkin Pie, Humble Pie, Hot Apple Pie. Who chooses? Who cares? You can have them all, says Music Man Jeff Crichton. And finally, no Thanksgiving is complete without a turkey at the table. A real tryptophan, Alex Kaluzny from Lockport. Welcome, panelists.
Hello.
Are you ready?
Hello.
We are very
All right.
ready.
You got your thankfuls on. All right. Well, we'll kick it off. I'm going to try to do this in the round so that I can keep track.
Sure.
So, all right. So for me, it's going to be Chef Jeff, Deb, Everett, Jeff from Florida, Alex, Sue, Jeff from just down the street, but he's actually in a lovely paradise, and then I'll go. Okay.
Yep.
So, the Grateful Dude, what say you for your first choice for thankful albums?
Okay, well, I go way back on this one. I actually, this album was the first album I ever owned. It introduced me to rock and roll. Because as a lot of you know, especially when you're young, you don't listen to a lot of your music. You listen to a lot of your parents' music. And my family mostly listened, my mom and dad mostly listened to 20s and 30s big band and stuff like that. So I really didn't hear much, but there was a malt shop very close to us. This is 1964. I was about 10 years old, and I bought an album there, and the model was their second album, but the first one to really be released in America. It's Meet the Beatles. And fabulous album. I mean, I still have the original album that I bought.
Wow.
It goes back, 59 years. So, but I love the album. The Beatles were what introduced me and turned me into rock and roll lover and a music lover and stuff like that. At one time, I don't think I do anymore, owned every album. I bought them as soon as they came out. I loved them. So We're going to try, as everybody else is going to try to make them short. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm very thankful for the Beatles. They introduced me to rock and roll. Mark?
Awesome.
Perfect.
Deb, over to you.
Okay, well, this artist, just very talented, very unique. I don't even know how many albums he had before the one that I'm choosing. I'm gonna say only maybe one or two. But my album that I chose, I did them in order from 5 to 1. And ironically, after I wrote them down, I realized the most current one was my number 5 and the oldest one was number 1. So obviously it
cool.
has to do with how long they've been in my top 5 for where they got placed, but it is Beck Odelay from 1996. I can listen to that album over and over and over again. I just find him so incredibly talented, and just the way he mixes his music, the instruments that he uses, the changes in the measures and where he goes, and it's just it's a fun album to me. And I still don't know half of the lyrics. Maybe I know the words, but I don't know how they all fit together in a sentence, but somehow he puts them in there and we learn it and we sing it like it's English, but it's not.
Yeah.
So that's my number 5, Beck Odelay.
Cool. Everett.
All right, I decided that I was gonna put my number 5 at one of the first rock bands that I ever truly got really interested into, which was Kansas.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good
So
one.
I loved, Wayward Son, Point of No Return. Sometimes random middle of the day, I'll just start humming them. And it was one of the very first full-on albums, besides like Queen and AC/DC, like bands that I really got interested in and would like just sit in my room and have playing. So I'm gonna put the Kansas Greatest Hits album as my number 5, just for kind of getting me into the taste of music that I have today.
Love it.
Cool.
So
Excellent. There's a band that hasn't been muttered once on this show. So awesome. Jeff Young.
I'm going off the wall here, and it's
That's
for
normal.
a reason, but I'm picking Corky and the Juice Pigs because since the 90s when it came out, I probably quote something stupid off that album every day. And it just is my own personal fun. So God forbid your name is Todd and I'm you, because I go, Todd! And it's insane. Like, I don't know. It's just a silly, ridiculous album, but it's stuck in my mind and I can't get rid of it, and I don't want
The
it.
road shimmered like the bald head of a Buddhist monk.
No
From
wonder I don't know what you're talking about ever.
stupid-
I would assume most of the panel is like, what?
Yeah, I
It's
don't.
It's more of a comedy album. There's songs on it, but even the songs are quotable. Psychopath, The Killer in the Summertime, and they have 3 stupid announcements. And
This is where the name of the band really comes into play for fitting the theme.
Yeah.
If you do want to take a dive, you can look on YouTube. They were the house band for Mad TV, and they did a few of those songs. So,
Okay,
very
cool.
talented.
That makes sense.
The lead singer wound up being the lead and the producers in the Canadian show of it, I believe. I think his first name is Mark. But yeah,
Interesting.
a lot of fun,
It's funny.
a lot of fun, crazy fun. Yeah, and they kind of make fun of artists. Like in their second album, they make fun of Neil Young and they call the song Janitor, and they have this, so
That went so high pitched it didn't even come through in the audio.
yeah,
no,
I
I
heard
heard
it. I'm
dogs
a
bark.
dog.
you guys hear dogs barking where you are?
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Yep.
But anyway,
Cool.
that's mine.
all right,
Love it.
Alex.
So I intentionally did this show wrong. I went with 5 reasons that the bands I name, I didn't pick albums necessarily. I can associate certain ones with the eras, but I picked 5 themes I'm thankful for and put the bands around them.
Okay.
So getting my start in music, I figure I'll go with in my first round. I think of Crack the Sky's self-titled album was probably the first album I ever remember hearing when memory kicked in for me. Moxie Fruvus's Live Noise, just because that was one of the first bands I ever saw Thursday at the Square. And Reverend Horton Heat. Space Heater is my favorite album, so I'll just throw that in there. Probably my favorite first album I fully listened to through that. So those three I would go with Thankful, because they were for my start into what got me into music and what initially tuned my ear in. And one of those I know Chef Jeff remembers from our challenge. So
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah, those are in there. That's a variety too of it's not all the same. Sue.
So mine's a little bit weird, I guess, but I went with the Andy Williams Christmas album from, it was either 63 or 65. It was something that always came out in our house. I didn't really know who Andy Williams was probably until my 20s, so I didn't know who was actually singing the songs, but I loved it. And my dad actually had a lot of really cool albums, and played guitar and did a lot of things that I just didn't really pay attention to when I was young. But yeah, it's still, I think it's probably my favorite Christmas album of all. And he has a really good voice.
Yes,
I
he
don't
does.
Oh, absolutely.
That album came out 60 years ago last month.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I used to watch his show. He had
Yeah.
his own television show.
Yes, he did. The Andy Williams Show.
Yep.
Self-titled.
Many moons ago.
Yep.
Many moons.
So it came
Cool.
out in November, just to get ahead of the
marketing ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Well, it probably took people back then several
To get to the
days
store.
to get to the record
Right.
store.
Save
And it
up
was
their
black
money.
and white back then.
Why is
Cool.
Andy Williams trending on iTunes?
It's
Let's do
Christmas time, and all three of us are looking him up.
Yeah. Yep. Check them out.
Jeff, what's your first one?
Well, I'm not going in any chronological order. I'm going by decade now, I think.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm going to go along with what Chef Jeff said, because seeing the Beatles on Ed Sullivan changed my life, and it wanted me to do music, which I've been blessed and lucky enough to do for life. And so the first album I ever got, saving my milk money when I was 7 years old, was Meet the Beatles. And just from the opening,
That's so cool.
opening chords of I Want to Hold Your Hand, to the countdown that I saw her standing there, all to the end of side one with Paul singing All My Loving, to the beginning of side two with George singing Don't Bother Me. The record's perfect. So that's what I'm going with.
Wow. Awesome.
And to be able to hear 3 times, well, no, I've listened 4 times to the last song.
Yeah.
That came out today, Now and Then. So I don't know if
I
anybody else.
watched it a couple times today.
It's not the greatest song, but it's
Absolutely
beautiful.
not.
It's nostalgic. It's just beautiful to hear Lennon's voice so relaxed and pure, because he probably was at that time. And the way they produced that song, even with AI's assistance, is terrific. And I'm glad it's out.
Cool.
You know,
Awesome.
I have to mention on that Meet the Beatle album that I happen to own, that it still has the big round price sticker on it, and it was a whopping $1.99.
Wow.
In mono. In mono.
Yeah.
That was
that
a lot of
mono,
money
right?
back then.
Last
Yeah.
record I bought cost me $40.
Yeah. The copy I have, I still have my original copy too. And it was $1.99 at Twin Fair in mono.
There.
I don't know what you guys are complaining about prices. I'm the one that has to pay for it.
I want to know what the Skinnerd album with the fire is worth because I know we've got the original before they took it off. So
Yeah.
I've got
Did they
that
make
too.
very many of those before they retracted it?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah, they float around. They're at least worth more than the newer versions that don't have it. So
Wow.
I know you got to look at that album and just think, wow, that's cosmic bad luck.
Kind of.
Okay, Mark, take it away.
All right. So my
Coach K.
first one I have it's a quintessential move away from what they were. And it's Pearl Jam's Vitalogy.
Oh, good record.
Okay.
Mm.
They were still grunge, but they were starting to move away. If you really listen, it's definitely the most impactful, non-dramatic songs, but realistic in an immense range of music. But I am thankful to this particular record for one song that will forever kind of be with me, and that's Nothing Man. Now, while I do not share the same response to Vedder's why he wrote the particular track, my interpretation and my attachment to the song allowed me to write an entire novel that has the same title, basically about such a man, but an unbelievable circumstance and who the luckiest people really are on earth. So that's why I have this as a thankful.
Nice.
Guy's a hell of a songwriter, still is.
Sure is.
Back to the Grateful Dude.
Well, then my fourth album, I'm thankful for. I'm not just thankful for the band, for, for the band, but their players and their songs. The song on this album is now and has been for the last 50 years my favorite song on the planet, and that song is The Wait. The album is The Last Waltz, and the band is The Band. And we just lost Robbie a few months ago, and that was just horrific. But before I owned the album, I heard the song, and something attracted me to the song, The Wait, and I have never been able to get rid of it. I sing it at least once a day. It's just one of those kind of things. To me, it's a perfect song. But and a lot of people have covered it now. Every time I turn on the radio or the YouTube, I hear a new copy of it. So, but as I said, we're making this short and sweet. I'm thankful to him because they brought my favorite song that I know of to fruition.
Right.
That's cool.
It's huge. Deb.
Okay, my number 4 is by a band. I believe it was their first album in 1992. I'm more thankful for the band itself than this particular album, but I believe it's their first album. Bare Naked Ladies, Gordon. That over the next 10 to 15 years, Bare Naked Ladies became more integral in my family life. My kids really gravitated towards their music. It was their first big concert with 20,000 people, was a Bare Naked Ladies concert. And actually, Alex, you'll appreciate this, knowing my son. It's actually the first time Chris saw a Bare Naked Lady on the Jumbotron.
I
So
have
that
heard that
was
story plenty.
Lucky son of a, I mean,
And
So-
I will say though, great choice on this one too. I like it.
Thank you. But what else was good about it was, Chris would he loved all kinds of music, and we'd be in the car all the time because that's where he was happiest. And he was born in 93, so he was kind of brought up on Gordon. And I can remember very early on in his musical interest, he goes, "So who's this Yoko Ono?"
Hold on. I want to add on to this. One, that album / band matches Chris's goofiness perfectly. Number 2, I know where you're going with this because I only knew who Yoko Ono was first because of the Bare Naked Ladies, then Lennon or the Beatles. Because of that, because of being born where we were.
Well, it's interesting because what that did for Chris, though, who is this Yoko Ono, or what is, I think he probably even said, "What is Yoko Ono?" It opened him to the Beatles. So, I mean,
Perfect.
he was listening to some of the old remastered stuff like Three Stray Cats, the things that they were doing that were more like that 50s type stuff. And his iPod was filled with all that. So there's many reasons for this album. But mostly it's the Bare Naked Ladies is number 4. But I'm glad that appealed to you, Alex, and I'm glad that you joined because I knew you would get the humor in those couple stories. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I didn't know who Brian Boitano was until I saw the South Park movie. Anyway, Ever James,
All
you're
right.
next.
I originally had this album listed a little differently, but because of the last one, I moved it down for fun. I had to put Bare Naked for the Holidays, their Christmas album.
Mhm.
That album is just like, it is the album every day, like the weekend after Thanksgiving, without fail, as we were decorating the Christmas tree, that album would be playing on the stereos, and it is just one of those albums that I hear and I just get so nostalgic, and I'm just like, ah, Christmas is here. So it's just one of those, and like the song Elf's Lament is like one of my favorite songs ever because it's just,
Oh,
it's funny, it's got, just like, it's nice, it's fast, but it's like funny and it's Christmas. And it's about basically elves going on strike. I mean, elf labor laws. What else do you need, really?
They are an underpaid bunch when you think about it.
I mean, really,
Yeah.
seriously.
eh,
Children's smiles. Can't buy bread with children's smiles.
They still make more than me too.
Well,
hey,
there's
under
that.
the
Me too,
table,
actually.
underpaid, underappreciated.
Well, they were tall enough to be under the table, Mark.
That's right.
So
I
I'm
love
gonna
that,
put
Everett.
I'm gonna put that one there at number 4 just because it's one of those albums that's just
I
like,
love it.
It's a good
Fun.
meaning.
Yeah.
I like that.
A happy feeling. Happy feeling.
happy
Unless you're an elf.
birthday.
But anyway,
Unless you're an elf.
Jeff Young.
Where is he?
I'm gonna go with Undertow from Tool
Oh, that's good.
from 1993, and I remember reading an article at the time when it came out. Somebody referred to it as metal with some intelligence and some emotion. But for me, it was like kind of almost like a thankful that there's an album like this out because it was different, even though some people would call it metal. I don't know if it really was, but it was during a time when grunge was still really huge, and there was stuff like everybody who was popular for the last 10 years is still popular, whether it be Sting or Guns N' Roses or whatever. And this was just good and different. And even with their art, from their album cover to their inside album cover to their videos, they were just different and really good at it. And just really, had some good heavy music, which was like the stuff they did that others had already done. I felt like they did a little bit differently or even a little bit better. And then they did things that were just different too. So I kind of consider it just a rock album, but yeah, it was just it was really refreshing for me at that time to get something like that. And, I still like them to this day, of course, but
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
neat.
it was definitely something completely different at that time. Way different than what was going on. Sue.
Alex, right?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Alex. Yes. Now that Everett moved, I had to write them down quickly.
It's Everett's fault.
Now, if all of you
Now
start doing
Everett's
that, I'm
always
gonna get really
wrong.
pissed.
Yes, I'm free.
Everett's the wrong one. This week.
I'm the punching bag here too. Yeah.
So this one for me, I had 2 bands that were synonymous with this category, but it comes down to, I think, one band and one person. My theme for this one is it brings back to my dad. The band being Matthew Good Band. Between the band I'll mention later, where I moved the category, and Matthew Good Band, I think those 2 collections were most prominent in the car when I was driving in said Chevy Impala of whatever year, make, model, because there were 3 different ones of them that had these albums in them. And it also was my dad's way of always telling me when I played hockey, he always led me to the first track on Beautiful Midnight, which is Giant. He always played that right before he ever dropped me off to play hockey with him. And looking back on it, I wish I may have used that a little bit more when I was old enough to understand the music rather than just laughing at it. But looking back, Matthew Good Band, and anytime I hear any track by them, especially whether it's Beautiful Midnight or Underdogs, off one of those two albums, it just brings me right back to thinking about my dad.
I love that. Nice, Alex.
The line
like
he's
that.
referring to is Kickass. That's the way we spell success.
Yep,
Oh.
kick ass.
Yeah,
I was like, who are you shortening it for? I live next to Jeff. I've heard way worse regularly.
And as a kid, I used to just laugh because it was a cheerleader intro doing it. But then the one
Correct.
time I got to see them play, that's what he came out on stage to, was that complete
That's
with
great.
the high pitched frequency coming from the guitar as he plugged it in and all fit perfect.
That's awesome.
I've seen him 3 times, and that was usually the lead, except for an acoustic show, which it was not. Sue.
My next one is Grease.
I almost picked that one.
No way.
Yeah, I
Right.
love it.
Well, I picked it for you. So I was not allowed to see Grease when I was a kid. I wasn't allowed to see most anything growing up, but my sister somehow smuggled everything in, everything. And so, back in the day when we had record players, I would play this all the time. And without seeing the movie, I still enjoyed the music because they were great songs. And then I finally did get to see the movie. I've seen it many,
You
many,
were
many.
50.
And then like a good friend of mine down the road, they had a jukebox. They had everything. They were the family that had everything, and they had a jukebox in their back room. And so these songs were definitely in that too. And just a lot of good childhood memories with Grease.
Love it. That's a good one. For sure.
Jeff.
My favorite album of all time, I always go back to Who's Next, which for me is the greatest album ever made, bar none. Even though the Who are only my 3rd favorite band of all time, yet for me they've made the best album ever. So many great songs. I got to see them in Rochester at the War Memorial.
Yeah.
It was an outdoor venue in Rochester in the summer of '71. So I got to see him with Mooney drumming. And that record to me is perfect. It needs to be played loud and louder than loud.
Yes.
And
Noise ordinance loud.
yeah.
You can hear anything afterwards. You played it too quiet.
That's right. That's right. And everybody has tried to do that scream, it won't get fooled again.
Yeah.
So it's a great record, and that's the next one in line that really tugs at my heart and that means something to me. I went to that show in Rochester with my older brother, and then fast forward 10 years later, I'm working with the band when their albums were on Warner Brothers. So
That's
pretty cool.
What album? What was the first album you worked with?
Face Dances.
Oh, okay.
Face
All right.
Dances, and then Who's Next? It's Hard, that album.
Okay.
It's hard with that had the first farewell tour.
Yes.
First of many.
Yeah.
7th farewell tour. This time
Yeah.
I mean it.
Yeah.
Dangling that carrot.
I have a few stories from that tour, which will be discussed.
Maybe that'll be a good show.
I think it would be.
Who's still touring?
Yeah, really.
The Two.
So, People will not know this, I'm pretty sure, but story behind this. This is Tigran Hamasyan's Mock Route. Now, Tigran is a piano player, classically trained pianist, but I couldn't believe my ears when I heard this record. This is piano playing at a level of controlled spasm and folk classical delivery that just had me suddenly sucked into some entire classical avant-garde genre that I'd never heard or even thought existed, beyond my scope and beyond my comprehension. I do not know how to play an instrument, but I realize when someone has a certain sudden command of it that is beyond the ordinary. The speed and effortlessness reminded me of Art Tatum. Heavy stroke of, in this word, djent, D-J-E-N-T, which is actually a progressive metal reference, is in the mix of this record. And what a mix it is. And it kind of opened me up to this idea that there's something more in the classical arena besides that wall that it's hit, many times with either Bach or Mozart or anything. This is, and I've never seen him live. He doesn't play many shows in obviously this area, but there was a write-up of his show in Chicago, and there were, the write-ups were just like, I can't believe one man is playing that piano like that. It's just unreal. I would highly recommend. It's Tigran Hamasyan. He is Serbian, and it's Mock Route. Jeff,
Interesting.
Grateful Dude to you.
Okay, dokie. Well, this memory takes me back to 1970. It was basically very much a birth year for me for my music. I saw my top 3 bands for the first time that year. This band that I'm about to mention as my number 3 is and has been for a long time my second favorite band. And I happened to see this concert in 1970. I believe it was June 28th. And it was at the Los Angeles Forum. And I am talking about the fabulous CSNY. And it was their first live album that was recorded. And they recorded parts of it in the Fillmore in New York and part of it in Los Angeles. But I was at that concert. I was 16 years old, I believe, and I went with one of my good friends' dad, because his dad was totally into rock and roll, So that put a memory in me that will never stop. I've seen CSNY about 35 times.
Wow.
So yeah, anytime they were anywhere within 300 miles of where I was staying, I would go. And and I've seen them in all their CSNY, just Crosby and Stills, just Young. I've seen them in all the different. The best show I ever saw was in '89 in Las Vegas at the Forum. That was just unbelievable, especially when Bob Dylan decided to join stage. That was
Oh, wow.
Bob Dylan just randomly walks on stage.
Is that American Dream?
Look who are those guys.
No,
yeah, that would have been American Dream.
No, the album I'm talking about is 4-Way Street. Their second album and the first album recorded their live album.
No, I'm talking about
89.
the concert. 89.
89 was American Dream because I
okay. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was American Dream. Yes.
Yeah, but the album
that was they basically got asked to take off stage because they did 3 encores.
Yeah. Wow.
They couldn't get them off stage.
I love it.
They probably didn't know what time it was.
Dudes, wait.
Pretty much.
It's tomorrow?
Since
when?
Neither did you.
I thought we just got on stage. What are you talking about? Is that an elephant?
We've only played 3 songs today. It's 12:20.
Okay, Mark.
More on American Dream in December.
Oh, yeah.
When we have a meal to music. Deb.
Awesome. All right. My third is from 1994. This artist I think is incredible. I only know how to play 2 instruments, and I don't know. I've read different things that he played up to 65 different instruments. I don't
Only
know
knows
if
how to
that,
play 2 instruments. Oh yeah, that's so bad.
but this is Prince, Purple Rain. Um,
Good album.
I worked that record.
He did.
See, like you know what? I don't even want you to be on a show with me anymore because you just are gonna one up me. I
No,
listened to that. I listened to that album, but you worked on the album, and I met Prince. No. So
Did you get to go to that or no, Jeff?
What?
Did you meet him or no?
No, no, I never
didn't
met
No?
think
him.
Dead
No.
ones.
I would be
Okay, well
very
then-
curious to hear that
He
if
he
there was
did,
a
he
story
only
there.
he only talked to the national people. He didn't like
Okay.
he didn't talk to us soldiers in the field that were getting his records played.
yeah, they got him rich.
But boy, that record in 1984, woo, huge.
That I went and saw him in concert, and Sheila
Oh, wow.
E. opened for him, which was, I mean, I knew nothing about Sheila E. and I'm just watching this going, who did I come here to see? Who's the headliner? I forgot. The show was amazing.
I know she has a
Um,
master class.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. She and Ringo.
Her and Ringo?
Yeah, which
Mhm.
seems
That's
like an odd
awesome.
combination.
Yeah, I don't know how to play anything but piano and clarinet, but I could learn percussion, right?
Good.
And when I went to
Yeah.
see the concert, I mean, I was only 22, 23. I was newly married and we were poor. And so for us to spend money on that concert was a huge thing for us, even though I don't have the ticket, probably was what, $15 or something. If that. But that was my number 3. I just love it. I can listen to it over and over again. Never seems dated to me. I don't know if it's because I'm dated, but and that was a good, and I graduated from college in 1984, so it was all around a good year. So
Fine wine, Deb. You are fine wine. It
is that what
ages
it is?
perfectly.
Okay.
I'm just old product.
You're old. That's funny. I love it. Best
Everett.
juice by.
All right. For my number 3, I felt like I had to put at least them on here somewhere. It was the band that if Kansas was kind of like me putting my foot into the door, this was me fully walking in and going, wow. It was Electric Light Orchestra.
ELO. I almost picked
Yeah.
them. I
Yeah.
almost picked
I-
ELO.
There would be times, once again, they're actually one of the few bands that I have a vinyl record of that I got for Christmas one year. So I picked that one, which is their Out of the Blue album, which
It's
just
the best.
I was
Double
first
album.
introduced to them for the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack, which is one of my honorable mentions. And I just listened to it, and on YouTube Music they have like a play radio button, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna play radio. And Don't Bring Me Down came up, and I just slowly got more into it until was able to sit down with like most of the album and just like sing it word for word.
Wow.
And then I remember a couple years ago, I was working with Jeff in his garage, and he was like, "What kind of music do you like?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I kind of like Electric Light Orchestra." And he just kind of looked at me like,
Where
What?
did you come from?
"What planet
You're
are you
an
from?"
alien. Yeah, you're an
I
alien.
like ELO.
I know they're great.
No,
No,
but-
you,
Yeah, they
no,
were
you were
great.
just
Yeah.
shocked that I knew who ELO was.
Right.
That was the shock.
Yeah.
It was great. But they're kind of
love
like they were one of the first, once again, true rock bands that I really ever was like really liked the band itself. Like
Yeah.
I usually just like a song or two, and then if I like a lot of songs, then I'm like, all right, I like the band. So
But that one. It's
they
a
were
great
kind
album.
of one of the
Hey, Everett,
one of my favorite. Yeah.
Everett, you should, their very first record, their very first album, Electric Light Orchestra, where they cover Roll Over Beethoven. But if you like them that much, then they stemmed from a band. They branched out. There was a band called The Move. You should check them out because the Move became Electric Light Orchestra.
The Move, like MOVE.
Yep.
Interesting.
Okay.
Cool.
Have Jeff Lynne in it too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the
Jeff
great
Young.
Roy Wood.
Wow. All right, that is definitely something I am going to be listening to a couple times. But that's it for my number 3. I think that is 4,
Cool.
3.
It's number 3.
3.
You're correct. Jeff Young, what's your third choice?
I'm picking Synchronicity from the Police.
Oh, that's
Who-
good too.
Yes.
I've always liked, pop music, but always ever spent money on rock and metal and things like that. And, except from you want to consider rock like Genesis and Phil Collins solo, that's fine too. But it's really like the first poppy type music that I think that I would really say I actually really wanted and craved and asked for gifts, and finally got it on a cassette tape. And but yeah, just like so I mean, I just to this day I think it's a great album. And I mean, there's not even other Police albums I don't think I really like it. So that's just the way I feel.
Nice.
Cool. Love that album.
Yeah, definitely of the
Mhm.
Police records. That's
Great
my favorite.
record.
Hmm.
Sure. I mean, I love all the other ones too, but that one just smidgen
Yep.
better. Let's see. It would be Alex, right? Am I back
Yep.
on track here?
Yep. So my theme on this one is moment in life. It has taken me a lot to find something that really encapsulated what I've been through in the last half decade. One of the few things that I feel like it was really kind of shameful to admit at one point in my life, but that dealing with some mental abuse from another person at one point that altered who I was and the career trajectory I thought I was on. That this band came out with an album in that same time that literally brought me right out of it and put my 2 feet back on earth. And then as I was kind of finding my voice again in coaching and in my career this past year, they come out with another album that encapsulates exactly what I needed to hear in that moment. And it was 2 for 2 for them. It was I Prevail with the Trauma and True Power albums.
Cool.
Those 2 albums came out exactly when I needed them, to the point that not a single track on them missed a mood or a feeling that I had in the moments that they came out that I was listening to it. Because you experience different things, and I think each track had a very pointed reason I ever related to it in those times. And
I think you
very
should check for
thankful that those
security
came out.
cameras that are spying on you. They got it that dead on.
I really should have go back to some of their other
That's
albums,
funny.
just to see if they related to those times too.
Just so you know, that's the way I feel about Disney.
I love
Put
the
your-
Chinese government.
Put your face that close to the camera again. It looks like it should be on a Beastie Boys album cover. Yeah, those 2 albums were standouts for me in terms of just first time I've ever felt it where it was just spot on, like it was made to come out at the right time. So
Love that. That's
Yeah,
great.
they're crashingly good records. They really hit. I love them. See, it's Sue.
My third album. So now I'm a teenager and I purchased cassettes. Bruce Hornsby, Scenes from the South Side.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark always says I was like a headbanger and all that, and I do. I love rock and all that, and I also love pop though too. But this was kind of a switch from all that, and it was kind of it's where I went as a teenage. I don't know if I was angsty, but it
Mark,
was
was
just
she
kind of
angsty?
like, yeah,
No.
was I?
No.
I was really weird actually, because I also was trolling. You know what?
Well, look who you married.
Here.
But I used to
Is it
troll
a
a
state-
baton.
And on that note, still like and subscribe.
But no, it's an awesome album, and I honestly, it was the piano in it, and especially kind of like I don't know, I'm trying to think of the right wording, but I wanted to start playing again because I played when I was little, but I I more so play by ear, and it kind of influenced me a couple years later when I started to play around again. So not that I am anywhere good like Bruce Hornsby, but it was definitely in my ear, and it's just an awesome album, and yeah.
Love
What I
Melody,
got
right?
out of that is you think you're Bruce Hornsby. Got it.
I like
Well,
Bruce
she's
Hornsby.
done something Bruce Hornsby hasn't done.
What's
Get
that?
married?
She
World of
wrote a
Time?
musical.
Oh, yeah. See?
Oh, that's
Gonna
right.
yeah, I was gonna be like, get married to a guy who has a radio show.
Oh,
That too.
who knows? Maybe he did. I don't know. Jeff,
Well, I guess it would be more like got married and then the guy made a radio show. So
yeah.
Yeah.
he'll hope.
Well, this also wasn't 2023, so who knows?
Again, like and subscribe regardless.
How to tank a show in 10 minutes.
That's it.
Like, subscribe, report the authorities.
That's a whole new
By
button.
Unfollow, repeat.
Yeah, Jeff Crichton, you're we're 3, aren't we?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
we're
number
still at
3.
3.
Number
Looks
3.
like make it
yeah.
end.
Number 3.
So here's a question to the panel before I announce what my number 3 is, and this will
Oh.
kind of give it a hint. Has anybody heard the Stones album Hackney Diamonds that came out a couple weeks ago?
Yes,
Yes.
Not all of it.
Twice.
just like two.
twice.
I've heard it once.
It's
I
great,
didn't
isn't
know
it?
they came out with one.
Yes.
It's like surprisingly great.
Considering their age, considering what they could have done. Yes.
I want to know how much. I want to know how much electrically modified that record was, because the voices sound really good.
Well, the reason
Yeah.
I'm convinced AI came out sooner than we think is merely because I think that's how Keith Richards is still considered alive.
That's awesome.
He's
That's awesome.
I know he takes a lot of flack on that. And
We
if
were all
you've
waiting
seen
for
some
the
of
opportunity to make the old Keith
I
Richards
think
joke.
he's AI. I have an explanation now.
But the reason it sounds so good is because Mick and Keith decided to hand the reins over to the production chair to somebody 50 years younger than them. So that's why it sounds fresh. But yeah, what a great record.
Yep.
So
it was very good.
But that's
It's
not the
good.
record you chose.
No,
way.
and I'm thinking like, okay, there's a new Stones album and a new Beatles song. Is it 1969? What the heck?
It is
so-
not as good as that album. It is not as good as the album you're going to say. Nowhere
it's not.
near as good as that album.
No. My number 3 is my favorite Stones album, Exile on Main Street, which is
Good album.
Yeah.
which is a brilliant double album. I was excited when that record came out. I forget where I bought it, maybe Cabbages, I don't know. But I was lucky enough that when my older brother and his friends were all set to go see the Stones in Toronto with Stevie Wonder opening, and one of my brother's friends got sick, and he said, "I got an extra ticket. You want to go?" And so it was the first time I got to see the Stones as well. So
That's
on
pretty
top
lucky.
of that great record and seeing them for the very first time, that album holds a special place in my heart.
So basically, thank God for disease, or else we would not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again,
Good
like
brother.
and subscribe.
See, that's
Called
another thing
being
we're thankful
edgy.
for.
At the end of the
That
show, we're
is-
just gonna see Mark hauled out in cuffs as he's
Again,
The
I'll just
views
leave it
and
on.
opinions expressed.
like and
So
subscribe.
clearly, whatever.
You guys. Somehow gets the police to put on his little board as he's standing for his mugshot, like and subscribe.
Hey,
He has to
Exile
wear
on Main
his
Street.
shirt.
I'm picking
Exile on
Christian
Main
albums
Street is
from here
one
on
of
out.
the top 5 albums ever made.
Really? Wow. Oh yeah, it's
I-
a great record. Yeah.
It's 1969. The horns, it's the harmonic,
Yeah.
everything on it.
Well,
And it was
Well,
recorded in a basement.
it was recorded in France in 1972.
Yeah, like
So
some
through
basement.
71 and 72. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
records like perfectly sloppy and great.
Yep.
There
I
you
think
go.
there's an art to the sloppiness that you miss
Hey.
in today's modern with too much production.
Stooges, that
Yeah.
Stooges album, the sloppiness
Yeah.
works, man.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Except for one song, but we've already been there.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
so
fair.
contrary to belief, well, I don't automatically like everything, and sometimes I dismiss. I don't want to do that. That's country. I don't have any interest in that. And I knew who the Man in Black was, but I never thought for an instant it would be anything I'd come to terms with or relate to. Until the time was right, and that time was Walk the Line, the motion picture, where I went, "Are you kidding me?
I almost
Really?
picked that one too.
This is not country. This is something darker. This is something with more expressionism. This is developed. It's precious. It's heart-wrenching. It's moving. It's everything." And then down the rabbit hole I went. Now I have everything. I just don't have the box set, but whatever, right? But yeah, Johnny Cash is a legend in everything. And Walk the Line started with me. This is another reason why I don't get upset at compilations or reissues, because somewhere down the line, somebody else is going to go, "I've never heard that before. I don't, wow," and get brought into the mix. So around again we go. Back to the Grateful Dude.
Hey, go watch Johnny Cash's old ABC variety show. It was on in the late 60s, early 70s. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
He had
it's
like a
wonderful.
who's who of artists that were on that show. Brilliant.
Yeah.
How many people had a variety show in the 60s and 70s?
Everyone.
Oh God, don't even get Jeff started on Sonny
That's
and
going to
Cher.
be
Can we
a
just move
show,
on?
and it's
Next
we'll
week
do
on
that.
Beyond Your Radio, top 5 variety shows of all time.
That's what we
Yeah,
could do.
I'd need top 10 on that. So
All I can say is, of all the television shows in the 70s, 80s, and 90s that ever came out of the soundtrack, why on God's earth did nobody think to come out with a soundtrack to any of these variety shows, like Carson or anybody, with all the artists they had for each season? Could have had an amazing album.
You know.
That's a fair point.
Just release
again-
the recording on the show.
Then again, that would have been the start of Now That's What I Call Music way before anything.
Oh, put it this way, Jules Holland could have had. He'd have to have like a 17 CD album for all the shows he's done since '92.
Think of the box set you could have for Saturday Night Live.
Too many contracts.
really?
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Too
Tony,
many
you're
con-
right.
That is so
That's a
genius.
big problem. Contracts.
Too many
are a
contracts
problem.
and too many labels
Contracts,
involved.
schmontracks.
Yeah, look at these
Now you
people,
can just
Jeff.
put them all in a Spotify playlist.
We have
Most
a
of those people
dream.
dead. Who cares?
Don't squash our dream, Jeff. Don't listen to these people,
That's
honey.
what
You
offshore
go for
servers
it.
are for.
Back around the horn.
Once
Okay.
again, Disney's listening. No, okay.
China.
is it my
Grateful
turn?
Dude,
Yep, it's
Go ahead,
dude.
boss.
Is it my turn?
it's
Okay.
your turn.
Well, as most of you know out there in Radio Land who have been watching us at all, I am what you would call a serious deadhead, and have been since I saw them first time in '69. And so most of my listening all through the '70s, about 95% of what I listened to in the parties I went to, blah blah blah, we just listened to the Dead. Oh, a few other here and there, but mostly the Dead. Well, I got a girlfriend in 1982 who
Dang.
decided to try and unbend me because she thought the Dead was stupid. But and she introduced me to somebody who is my number 4 band or artist of all time, and I went completely nuts over him. Listened to all the stuff before, and I have all his records now. I am talking about the incredible Bruce Springsteen. The album, the first concert I saw with him was when he did the Nebraska
Yes,
tour.
it's my favorite.
Saw him for the first time at the LA Coliseum. 93,000 people watching the butt. Man, it was
Wow.
incredible. But yeah, Bruce Springsteen, he's I can't say enough. I mean, he basically opened my brain a bit because I was so stuck with the Dead and the Dead counterparts and stuff that I didn't listen to much else. Bruce was rock, but he wasn't. There you go. He wasn't psychedelic. He was raw. You know, he was Americana.
Yeah, modern
And
American.
so
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
Bruce saved me in some direction, allowed me to open up my brain instead of being in one small circle.
I
Mark,
like it.
Deb, I'll pass it to you before.
All right. My number 2 album, it was my introduction to progressive rock, even though I wasn't really listening to it when it was released. It took a few years before I was actually old enough to have the opportunity to listen to it. Not that I wasn't allowed to, I just never had heard of them because when this album came out, I was maybe 10 years old. But it's Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon. That was my introduction to be ready to listen to more of the big Yes albums and those kinds of things. Uh, like Rick Wakeman and what band was he in? I know that's terrible that I'm
He was
saying
in
that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, well, yeah, but didn't he have another band after that, Rick Wakeman?
No,
He was like in a
No.
collaboration.
No, he
No.
was just in Yes.
Okay,
what?
He
stop.
went
We're
out
not
on
gonna
his
go down
own.
He went on his own.
We'll edit that out.
Yes.
It's okay.
I've probably listened to this album 1,000 times and over again. Maybe not in the entirety every single time, but each song on the album I relate to. I know every word on every song. And I actually had one of my first psychedelic experiences with the band, and I won't go into that because I
I
don't
want to
want to
hear more.
Yeah, me too. That's what we should have. We should have the
next
next show
week
should
on
be
Beyond Your
everyone's
Radio, top
first
5 Christian
psychedelic
albums.
Christian rock albums.
We are going to Christian albums next week in this G-rated show.
Beyond Your
Again,
Radio.
like and
after
subscribe, or
hours.
The new
So
Christy
any-
Minstrels will
Like,
appear.
subscribe, repent, do all
Utah
of it.
Mormon Tabernacle. Woo!
Multiple
I don't
likes.
know how we got there, but
Yes.
all right.
yes.
So yeah, I
We
had
did.
a psychedelic experience with that album at Beaver Island that lasted
Can't even
probably
Are you
13
sure?
hours.
Are you sure you're at
13
Beaver Island?
hours. It
Again,
was
I
Beaver Island.
apologize. Like and
Shut
subscribe.
up. Let's just say the walls of the bathroom at the beach were moving, but it was great. So I
Walls were
love that
talking to me
album.
again.
More fun when
No.
the snakes talk to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So all right, move along.
I thought the hallucinogens would have opened Jeff's mind, but apparently Bruce Springsteen. But okay.
Okay,
Who's
there
next?
you
It's Everett,
It's
right?
me, I think. Last I checked.
Yes.
Okay. For number 2, I had to pick one of, and they kind of go. It kind of goes along with the next one. Is the Eagles' "The Long Run" album?
Okay.
I like the Eagles. They're one of my favorite bands. They're the only real band I've ever seen live. I saw them in Denver in like 2017 or something. It was a while ago now, but it was
The only
them.
real band? The only
The
real
only-
band
okay.
you've
Yeah,
You saw
I've
Buffett.
seen the Utah Symphony Orchestra. It
You
was
saw
Okay.
Jimmy Buffet.
yeah, but that was the same concert.
I'm never
Oh,
gonna get
I
that
didn't
one
know
down.
that. That was
Yeah, it
back
was the
to
same
back?
concert. So it was Jimmy Buffett opening up for the Eagles. Not
I love
opening
it.
up. He had like his own whole hour set. And
Yeah.
then the Eagles came on. And
Well, he
to that
came
point,
on
I had-
first because he had to go to bed by a certain time.
maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
He was still on
Hey,
stage.
don't
He was doing
talk
great.
bad about the dead.
Yeah, no, okay. I had never really heard of the Eagles, and then for Christmas, my dad is just like talking to my grandparents, and they're like, "So, for Christmas this year, I got us all tickets to go see Jimmy Buffett and the Eagles." And I had never heard of the Eagles, so that was just my introduction right there. I'm like,
I love
"Who
it.
the hell are the Eagles?" Because I was like, Jimmy Buffett?
Yeah.
Because he was kind of just like, until like the 5th grade, he was the only thing I really listened to.
That's so
So
funny.
we went,
Who
we
are
saw
you?
the, I'm a weird kid. I
Those
have, yeah,
people from Utah, you
Love
can't
it.
trust them.
us Utes. But yeah,
The
it
two,
was
the two Utes.
The two
who
you.
The
Utes.
two Utes.
What? Who Utes?
My Polish Mormon band. The two Utes.
But-
There it
So
is.
I had to put
That's
Long
great.
Run because they're just, I love a lot of the songs. I love In the City. It's like just one that like whenever it comes on, I just have to sit down and stop whatever I'm doing because it just kind of it's one of those songs that like transports you to a whole different like time, whole different like feeling. So
Hmm. I
that
love it.
is what I am gonna put as number 2.
I
Awesome.
like it.
I like it. So, Jeff, where are you with your number 2?
I'm gonna go with 5150 from Van Halen.
Mhm.
And it's not even anywhere close to my favorite Van Halen album. I've always been a big Van Halen fan, but I am thankful in the way that I am most thankful that Van Halen didn't suck after Daily Roth was kicked out of the band. Like I was like, holy cow, like, okay, what is this gonna be? And
That's a hell of a
of course I'll
thankful.
give it a try, but and it wasn't anything like Daily Roth Van Halen. It was different for sure, but it
Mhm.
was still good. And then it's like, thank goodness, I got at least another, few years of Van Halen. Daily Roth did like 7 albums. I think Sammy did maybe only 4 or 5. But yeah. So anyway, it was just
I
like
like it.
the 5150 album too. Was kind of like me and my friends were all big Van Halen fans, and we're just like kind of relieved and happy that we had something else we can listen to. And of course, that was my first concert ever. Was going to see Van Halen the 5150 tour, and
Nice.
Yeah.
BTO opened up for him in Niagara Falls actually. The
Really?
convention, the convention
Yep.
In
center,
the
which is now
convention center. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
and great show. So
On my
and
local
and even that show, that actual concert, I know my brother wanted buying on video the Live Without a Net, which was in New Haven, Connecticut, and it's got the legendary guitar solo that people have seen a couple million times on YouTube. That it's from that show, which is just incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just
What year was
thankful.
that, Jeff?
I think that's 86.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they were
local-
happy. They were a happier band with Sammy than they were with Dave.
You would know
local
because you
music-
probably were on their tour bus and stuff, right, Jeff? You had your own bunk. Okay.
No.
He was sitting right below Alex, but above Eddie. So he was just like,
Okay, right. Right in the middle with you.
The
yeah.
perfect
And
Van
then
Halen
what was the
sandwich.
basis? What was the basis?
Michael
Something
Anthony.
Michael
Michael
Anthony.
Anthony.
Yeah.
At the music shop in Cache Valley, they actually have a signed picture of him with I think the store owner or something of him and Michael Anthony. It's one of those where I'm like, oh, is that the Van Halen guy?
He had the legendary Jack.
Good band.
Okay. Where are we at? Alex, right?
Yeah, I think it's Alex. Where'd he
Yep.
go?
So, my theme
There
for
he
this one. These are the 2 bands that exposed me to unheard music and changed how I viewed finding music and how I saw music. The first reason being that this band was the first one that tipped me off to the fact that there's more music in Canada and that the States definitely suck at telling you where there's good music to be found. And then the other
Except
band,
for Mark.
and the other band
I
is
was
the
always
reason.
pointing north.
Mark is the saving
Once
grace
again,
for all of
Mike
us
is
Americans.
I'll get
Thank
there
you.
later.
That's
That tease was sitting there for the last one I've got. And then the other band was the one I moved out of my dad's category because this band started rabbit holes for me and is the reason I even figured out to go looking down them. So those 2 bands being the Trues and the Foo Fighters. The Trues were the first taste of, oh my God, you people down here don't know this. And the Foo Fighters were the first band that it was like opening a new present on Christmas every time I learned something. Oh my God, you mean the singer was in Nirvana? Oh my God, wait, what? Velvet Revolver? And just you start bouncing off. Stone Temple Pilots, or not them, Queens of the Stone Age. He did stuff
Queen
with
of-
them, and I'm like,
and the drummer was with Alanis Morissette. What?
Yeah.
you just
Steven,
start bouncing
Taylor Hawkins.
all these
Yeah.
different things you can start bouncing off of, and then you
Mhm.
see him doing stuff with McCartney, and then you and it's just shooting off in multiple directions, and then you start. They're the first ones that, like, again, going back in a discography for me, and starting with the earlier stuff where there's songs like Big Me and The Color and Shape's the first full album I ever truly was like, oh my God, this might be my favorite album ever. And moments like that. So the Foo Fighters changed how I started branching down all these different areas and appreciating other bands because of them. So the Trues and the
Nice.
Foos changed how I will
The
forever have
Trues and the
found
Foos. I like
music.
it.
That
Alex,
sounds
I
like it
saw
could
the
potentially be
Trues.
dirty.
I saw the Trues in the most weird place ever. So there was this pool hall on Niagara Falls Boulevard near Sheridan, and upstairs
Oh
they
yeah.
had a stage, and
Oh, I
it
know
was
where
the
that
Trues.
place was.
Yeah.
And I was there. I think I was there with Mark and I don't know
What's
Jennifer
that called?
too one day, and like I don't know.
I can picture
Evening
it.
I remember seeing a
side,
picture,
evening.
like a poster on the wall, like they must have made on their own Xerox copy machine or like where it said like the Trues and the date. I'm like, that's like in 2 weeks. I'm like, I guess I'll go to that. It's only like $10. Like, but it was like they could play and sound great pretty much anywhere, I think, but to see it in some shitty little place like that was just I don't know, it was like I'm just sitting there going, I can't believe I'm
They'd
here.
be an incredible bar band. Incredible
Yeah, it was,
bar band.
it was
Yeah.
like the diviest bar ever to watch.
It was
It
a tiny. It
wasn't
was
even the main
tiny
bar. The
too.
main bar was the pool
Um,
hall, but they actually had upstairs, so they let them play up there.
Yeah.
So I think No Time for Later was probably the album where I first heard them, but one of my more prized things that I'll forever hang on to because I can't even believe I have this in my hand is one of the original Trues
Oh,
EP.
great record.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, yes.
I mean, don't get me wrong, 3 of the songs ended up on a CD anyways when they came out with them, but to have their original EP that they were handing out to people when they were just trying to
Sweet.
get to be something,
That's fun.
one of the cooler things I have for sentimental value. So this is pretty awesome to have.
Well, so far you're not wrong, Alex. So that's good.
And they were on my list. Acoustic Friends and Total Strangers is one of the best acoustic interpretations of some of their own songs that I've heard. It was
That's cool.
wildly good. I didn't think you could play an acoustic guitar that hard, but they did.
There it
Yeah,
is.
blisters. They got blisters on their fingers.
Got
Yeah,
it
They
right
didn't
here.
have fingers anymore.
I love that part where he just goes, I wrote this song and apparently it's taken on a meaning I didn't understand. I just wrote it like, oh, I'm a man of two minds. But everybody else like, oh, you're a man of two minds. And then he just starts playing the song and I still don't know what he's talking about.
So
But anyway.
the thing for me with that with them that I heard early on to getting to understand their music and being down their rabbit hole and wanting to learn more about them was just that every song they put on an album, they said that they can either play it electronic or acoustic.
Mhm.
To the point that Den of Thieves, which is an album name of theirs, is not on said album, but is a song that they will play in acoustic shows, but they never quite found how to play it electronically, so it never got on the album. But it'll play
Really?
at acoustic shows. It's on that DVD
It's
that
on that.
Mark's referencing.
Mhm.
And so I've always thought in my head, anytime I hear one of their songs, I'm like, man, they could just play this on the other form of guitar like that. And that's why they put so much value into it. And that really made me appreciate them because they're putting thought into their album making, which stood out to me. And I think the Den of Thieves albums or reference is a really good example of that and a good story.
It always helps when you're being challenged by one of the greatest songwriters in Canadian history, who challenged him, I think, to say, I want you to write a song about being happy, but you're miserable.
Yep.
But you're laughing. You're still laughing, right?
Pretend
Anyway.
to enjoy life.
Yeah. Sue, you're next.
Well, I'm glad, Alex, that you mentioned the Foo Fighters because they deserved. Obviously, they're one of my favorite bands ever, and I'm super thankful for them. But I did not pick them. I went back down memory lane, and I was just trying to think about bands that I just really enjoyed and had a good memory with, and I went with Get a Grip, Aerosmith.
That is a good one.
He plays it all the time, and in particular, on a road trip to South Carolina, trying to sleep in the back of a very small car, and that was like blasting in my ear for like 13 hours. But
Sue and Mark in the back of a Ford Probe. What?
Ooh, I don't want to hear about the whole story, but go ahead.
yeah,
Like, subscribe, never come back again.
Deb's having
Run.
a hallucinogenic thing.
Get
I
as
was
far
a
away
lot
as you can.
smaller back then.
Sue couldn't watch Grease, and now we've got this story going out. Let's go to Deb's psychedelic encounters while we're at it. Fuck.
Yeah. No, but
Good pick.
that's about
Very
that's
good
about
pick.
it.
I love that though. She doesn't even want to talk anymore.
Yeah, that was the long and short of it. Anyway.
Well, no, it was it really is a good album. And
Yes.
I kind of got sick of Aerosmith after a while, but you know, they put out good stuff. And that was I think one of our first travel adventures. So
That's cool. Is that the album that has the cow on the front?
Yeah,
No.
Yeah.
Yes. That
Yeah.
is, yes.
is it? Yeah.
Get a grip.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Eat the rich.
Eat the
Eat the
rich.
rich.
Rich. Eat the
Okay.
rich.
Mr. Crichton.
Going into the 80s here.
Ooh.
Yeah,
How dare you?
Welcome.
I know. How dare I?
Yeah. Make it brief.
Yeah, I'll make it brief. Yeah, I'm not going to cover the whole decade. So my favorite album of the entire 80s is the Joshua Tree.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
and
Nice.
that
Good
that
U2
band that
No.
band holds a special place in my heart as well. Early when the Boy record came out, and I was telling everybody that would listen that this is the band that's going to be the biggest band of the 80s. And I had people look at me like I had two heads saying like, what, off of this one record? And I went, yes. And I remember on December 8th, 1980, the night John Lennon was killed. And I went home after seeing U2 at Harvey and Corky's Stage 1. It was a snowstorm. There were only 25 people there. And they opened up for Tallis. And then
Talents.
7 years later, the Joshua Tree came out. And so, yeah,
You
U2,
were
my
right.
favorite band of the 80s.
It's a great
Nice.
album.
Yeah.
Good job.
Guess who produced that record?
Steve Lillywhite.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I knew it. I knew the name, but I couldn't bring it back up. Yep. Wow. All right. Oh, me. Huh. My mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun. Sting.
Ah, good
Uh,
record.
yeah.
On cassette.
Why?
Wow, on
Yes.
cassette.
Yeah. I just realized I do not have it on CD.
That
Christmas
surprises
list.
me.
So
What's
why?
the name?
How
Maybe Santa'll
retro.
bring it for you.
How retro having it on cassette.
He very. He's so
I still have the
cool.
medium. I have no 8-track anymore.
You can get it on a jump
Yes.
drive, but the album cover's too tiny.
So he introduced me, and I think the world, but that's my opinion, to how jazz can be rock.
Yeah.
How, he stepped away from a band that he could have stayed the rest of his life with and
Yeah.
led obviously him and what's his name might not have got along too well, but
Stuart Copeland.
yeah. So his departure, that sophomore, this is the sophomore record. This isn't the start. Dream of the Blue Turtles is, but this record to me just speaks to a non-standard jazz arena that could, I couldn't let go of. And the literature, it's like he's some sort of professor when he's writing. Is that with Murder of Crows? Is that I think it's on that track. Just wonderful songwriting in the mix of it. It's immersive, it's enjoyable, and it's creative. Just everything on this, he's rock steady where he's talking about Noah's Ark, just how safe is his boat we're on? I don't know. But this
That's a good one.
well, this is not my favorite Sting record. It's damn close. I mean, Soul Cages is still I like my albums a little darker, as everybody knows, but there you are.
Yeah.
Sting's Nothing Like the Sun. That's 1987. I haven't been saying the years, but 1987. Grateful Dude,
I
your
was
number.
trying to think of when I saw him in concert at Darien Lake was probably in the 90s. I saw Sting with Tracy Chapman open. That had to be
Oh,
the
wow.
early
Wow.
90s, maybe.
Yeah,
Probably
that would have
91.
been early 90s.
91 if it was Tracy Chapman's first record.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt Grateful Dude.
We saw
Sorry.
him with Lyle Lovett.
Really,
that would've
that's a
been interesting.
combination.
Yeah. And he came on stage. They did the Western song together.
Really?
Sisters, something like that.
That's interesting. I love it. All right, sorry.
Grateful Dude,
Grateful Dude.
what is your number one most
Most-
thankful album?
Well, and what from what you just said, I've never seen Sting by himself, but I have seen the Police twice.
Yeah.
So, and but I've never had an opportunity to see Sting by himself. Anyway, would anybody like to guess what band is my number one?
Wait.
Grateful Dead!
I've got it. I've got it.
Mamas and the Papas.
What do we win?
That's
Wait, nope, I have it, and I
He
want
texted
money.
me all of them yesterday.
Hold
I'm
on,
texting
I
everybody.
want money. I want money if I guess this. It's
Go.
ABBA.
Yes.
ABBA?
oh
Oh,
Only
that
if it's sung
ABBA,
by Cher.
ABBA does
yeah,
the Dead. That's a
that's
great
my
record.
favorite band of all times. Absolutely, my
ABBA.
God. Ah, the worst
See,
band
I
of
know
all
it, but I'm
time.
not going to tell any of you because I want to win
Yeah.
that.
So, the Grateful Dead. The Dead to me is not a band, not rock. It's a religion. I have seen over 300 shows.
Of course you have.
I've met most of the Dead, one way or another.
Legally
I
or not.
own at
That's okay.
least 50 Dead bootlegs.
Give
There's-
stock.
I mean, I've been immersed with Dead since 1969 when I first saw them. So it's like, what else? The album I picked is my favorite album of the bunch. It was the one that never got any airplay because the main song was 28 minutes long.
Mhm.
I am talking about Terrapin
Number.
Station.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's basically one long. There's a second side that's individual, but Terrapin Station, the original version, 28 minutes long, and it's written like a symphony would be with parts, part 1 through 5. But anyway, we'll make that short and sweet. I mean, the Dead to me, I still listen to them on an average of 2 hours a day
Wow.
when I in
Dude,
my listening.
damn.
I just it's one of those kind of things.
I got to know, does Jerry Garcia have a restraining order on you? Or
Jerry Garcia is dead. So
did he
no.
have a restraining order?
Or
So,
on
his
you?
yes.
family.
So yes, he does.
No, I actually I've met him 4 or 5 times, but the last time I met him was in Vegas at a poker table.
Oh,
I
well,
played
that's
poker with him for like 3 hours.
Oh man, that's awesome.
You can just imagine Jeff sitting over there like, oh my God, it's
Yeah,
oh my God, oh my God.
I don't get
you-
starstruck very easily.
Were you up or down?
I think I lost a bunch that night. I can't remember.
How'd he do? How did he
He
do?
was for Clemson.
I don't know, but it's funny. Most quote unquote stars bet lots of money. He was playing a $10 table. So
Well, he
That's
probably
the-
just invested in the ice cream place, so he was trying to keep it.
Yeah, I can imagine Jeff sitting next to him going, "Your ice cream is delicious, but it's not good as a garnish. If you want any tips, I can help you out with a different flavor."
anyway,
Yeah.
that's my number one, the Dead.
Awesome.
Love it.
No,
You know,
Chef
really,
Jeff,
Mark, the real thing that they got from the table was the friends they made along the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, Chef Jeff really
Well
just went
done.
up to him
I like
and
that.
went,
Okay,
"Hey, have you
Mark
ever
is
thought about
out of
a
here.
line of ties?"
What was that again?
I
Alex?
said, okay, Mark, I'm done.
Next
Oh,
issue.
yeah, Alex.
No, I go, Jeff's last comment to Jerry was, "You ever thought about a line of ties?"
Yeah. I might
You-
still have
you
a
could-
couple. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they're
You
cool.
do?
Everybody's
All
got
right,
a
Jeff.
Jerry curse. Okay, so I just need to say something to Chef Jeff really fast. It's not a religion, according to what you're saying, the Grateful Dead. It's a cult, because if you listen 2.5 hours a day still, it's a cult. And also, Terrapin Station is a head shop here in Niagara, in Buffalo.
Been there
And I
forever.
think that's probably where I got my first psychedelic experience.
Well, I will tell you
Now-
something funny. I'll tell you a little bit of tidbit. The first time Terrapin Station was ever played to the public was in Buffalo.
Buffalo.
First time it was ever
Really?
played to the public.
Well,
is that
I
is
guess
that
I-
that show? Is that show that is encased in that huge box set that is costing like ridiculous money right now?
No,
The show?
no. That's ridiculous. What you're
Okay.
talking? Well, Terrelman Station's a single album. I think it was.
No, I just wondered if that
where's
one was
my-
played live, if that was why everybody was coveting that so much. Because I know there was.
But it was played live for the first time. I've heard it maybe 20 times live. It's very unusual for the Dead to do it because it takes one whole set is one song basically.
Yeah.
Well, as long as you got your bong all set up, you're good.
There
So
you
Who d-
that
no.
keeps me in.
Bongs are for children.
Okay,
We-
that's a
we-
whole
I can
other
attest to
story.
that,
We
Ben.
got
Subscribe and
Something
don't
what-
count how
going
many
here.
felonies we've talked about on tonight's show.
Mine
That's
comes
Alex,
a
you're the
little
only one
pieces of
bringing
paper.
attention to him.
Well, I think statute of limitations. Okay, so this brings me into my album that I'm most thankful for, which isn't really an album, but goes along the same lines of maybe people smoking too much weed or something. It's a soundtrack. It's from, I did mine in chronological order of what I liked, but they just happened to come out in the reverse age of them. This is about from my last one, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon in 73. This album is, or soundtrack, I should say, is more than 30 years older than that. And the reason I picked this is because it influenced my mother, who influenced me, who influenced my daughter, that probably is influencing all of the children that she has in her classes where she teaches, but it's The Wizard of Oz in 1939. And it's timeless. There's not a person on earth that doesn't know it. It's very
I'm gonna
nostalgic
sing
to
it
me.
now.
No, please don't. We can do that after.
The after party.
The thing that was so magical about it was, when my mom watched The Wizard of Oz, they, in the theater, you got to see that Technicolor coming out into Munchkinville. But every year that she watched it after, and many years when I first got introduced to watching it, we never got to see the color because we only had a black and white TV. So the magic of having your first color TV in the mid to late 60s, and you've already watched The Wizard of Oz once or twice a year, and it's just always black and white, and then all of a sudden you see the color, like the songs just this is so nostalgic that no matter where you are, and it's not like they play them on the radio, but it's magical. It's magical. And it influenced everybody that I know in some way, whether you're afraid of the flying monkeys or don't get on your bike with the little dog in the basket. So that's
Oh,
and
Toto.
I might need to watch that movie again if I re-explore it as I did Dark Side of the Moon. And then I'll do a review on that.
Okay.
I'll
Speaking
hit
of
Terrapin
flying monkeys.
Station first.
But I actually, in 1959, my mom and dad took me and my sister to see it at
See it
at
at the
a
theater.
movie theater. And it's the first time I've ever seen a color anything,
Wow.
So, and
It is
I
amazing.
was only, I think, 6. Yeah. So, but it's a memory I'll never lose.
Born at the
So
wrong time.
I'm thankful for that because that just brings me to a happy place anytime before age of innocence.
Somewhere
Age of
over the
innocence. Yes.
rainbow.
All right,
All right.
that's me.
From
Interesting
Oz
anecdote.
to-
Whenever you yawn and you say the word courage, you sound like the Cowardly Lion.
And I keep my tail keeps hitting things, Jeff. Oh no, it's just I'm fat now. It's my ass.
From Oz to EJ. Everett, you're next.
Where'd he go?
All right. So
Oh, there
I
he is.
have a couple of honorable mentions that I'm just gonna list out real fast that are just like,
Oh, you got to
Either-
do your number 1 first.
oh, do we then do the honorable mentions
You
afterwards?
can
Yes,
say-
after.
Yeah, do it after. Yeah.
All right, fine. Okay. So my first one that I decided to pick was a Jimmy Buffett record. If I would have ended up just picking Jimmy Buffett for all of them, honestly. But for the sake of variety, I decided to just go with the one. The one I picked was, I think it was a 1991 live album, Feeding Frenzy.
Okay.
And that album is just like, it just holds such a place in my heart. I remember falling asleep to it when I was like 6, and just like the first song, "You'll Never Work in This Business Again," is just like a song that in the city, which isn't the Eagle song,
Right.
but those two to me are just like an iconic duo that if you listen to one, you have to, by law of the universe, listen to the other. You can't not. If you don't, you're gonna literally get smoten. I don't know. You're gonna feel some
Smited.
serious
Smited.
wrath. Smited. Sure.
Smited.
You're gonna
It's
feel some
okay.
serious wrath. And I remember at the concert that we went to in Denver, driving around in downtown Denver as this giant rock concert's trying to go on with the Eagles, listening to this album, trying to find where the hell we're going to park a 30-foot long vehicle. And so it's just my family and our grandparents just cruising around for like half an hour, just listening to this song. And it's just like one of those where it's like,
Oh,
I will never stop listening to that and just loving it just
that's
because
great. That's a good memory.
it's just one, it's just, I like it. Me like it. So for my very quick um honorable mentions rundown, I'm just gonna list them out. Led Zeppelin's In Through the Outdoor,
Hmm.
CCR's Chronicle, Elvis's 30 #1 hits, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, the Stranger Things compilation, and Men at Work, both Cargo and Business as Usual.
Men at
Oh,
work.
Wow.
Who
both
are
of
you?
them. Wow.
Where did we find
Wow.
Everett?
I have
Holy,
I have
is
both of
crazy.
them. I
he's
have
just my
I don't
good
blame
neighbor.
Everett
Wow.
is proof of reincarnation.
Yes.
Who am I
Yes.
reincarnated as?
I didn't know Men at Work had more than one album.
Oh yes. And
No.
the second album did not do well. It did not.
What was the second
Everett.
album?
We're gonna have a show all about
I mean,
Everett.
did the first album do well?
Yes.
I mean, you had a,
Business
what
as
was
got a
it?
Usual
lot
My
of
did,
sister,
yeah.
my
Land Down
sister
Under?
had that. I know that.
Yeah, Cargo had a really good song on it. And then
Oh,
one
there was. I
okay,
do remember Cargo.
goes
It's a
to
mistake.
fade away and come back again. No,
Mhm.
goes appear and fade away.
Goes
ah,
to be and
I can't think
Who
of the
Can It
title,
Be? I
but
think it was Who Can It Be?
Oh
Who can
yeah.
it be now?
no, that was on
Oh wait.
that was on
No.
Business. But
There's
anyway,
another one like that. I'm gonna look.
but yeah, there's they kind of made a huge mistake, and I'll just throw this out there. The inside album cover, when you open it up, they're all sitting on the toilet. That pretty much said everything you needed to know.
Really?
But now Colin Hay is some huge country guy, so whatever,
And then my final
Yeah,
one, just the Cars. I just like the Cars.
Okay.
Me too.
The Cars, yeah.
So-
I'll make you dinner, Everett.
Jeff,
I'll be quiet now.
Stuff to talk about.
I don't know. I wouldn't say this is my number one. It's just the last one on my list.
Right.
But much like Jeff and Deb, it's something that you didn't hear on the radio at the time, and that was "Injustice for All" from Metallica.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I had a Rolling Stone magazine.
Yep.
They were covered, and it said the only top 10 band that you won't hear on the radio, and
Yep.
that was on Billboard's top 10. But that was like my introduction and how I became a fan of Metallica. But I mostly I got it, and I really had no idea what I was going to listen to because I hadn't really listened to the first Metallica albums yet. Like, maybe I've heard some of it just from other people's radios or something, but didn't really know them. And I was just like, I can just picture myself sitting in front of my room, sitting in front of my stereo, listening to it with headphones going, like I just was kind of like, I don't know, I'd say shocked, but very surprised at what I was listening to. Like, just so heavy, so aggressive, and but not too aggressive. Like, also some slower rhythms, but heavy rhythms, really precise guitar, and just really, I guess, sounded kind of like it was like someone like took time to think about what they were putting together. It wasn't just your typical metal where just like the same thing from front to back, from beginning to end. And and they actually had like content that what the lyrics were about some social issues and things too, whether it's the environment or political or whatever. But I was just very surprised that it was just very good, very good album, and still today is
Awesome.
that music.
That's great.
It's a fantastic album. They were also on my list, but for a different album, and I'll save.
And I actually, I saw them. That was one of the concerts. The first time I saw them was too at that same show at the Odd Buffalo, and it was one of those albums and one of those bands that connected me with my friends because we all liked it and we all went to the show. And
Yeah.
Queensryche actually opened up, but it was very good.
Interesting. I've never seen Queensryche.
Alex.
So this last one, right? I will say it might be a literal number one for this one. And I mean that two ways. Fully and completely. Because I would literally not be on this show tonight if it was not for, I guess you can say, the album, but for one song. Because if it wasn't for one song and one moment in my life, I would not have years later sought Mark back out. And I would not have rekindled a great friendship because of it and mentorship if it was not for 50 Mission Cap and that one locker room moment. That entirely brings it full circle to me. So that it's not even just about the album. It just comes down to that one moment in this show, and
that's awesome.
Well, even got me to be a panelist on here. So yeah, comes right down to that.
Otherwise titled Things an Idiot Says to 12-year-olds. Anyway.
We know there's a lot of those.
Like, subscribe, and I swear.
Yeah. What
I know my rights.
Did he just say a World War II helmet and a hockey card? What?
And then I had a follow-up question for Jeff Crichton when he brought up his U2 side of things. I'm pretty sure my dad said he saw them in a small bar somewhere in Buffalo before they got big.
Yeah, it was Harvey and Corky stage one. So there was literally only 25 people there.
That's crazy.
I can name one of them for sure.
Okay.
Your dad.
Well, now you can name two.
Yeah. Jeff was there.
A 6 degrees of separation, because my dad used to mention that every now and then, that he saw them before they were ever anything in Buffalo once. And
it was a nasty snowstorm that night. My wife didn't want me to go, but I went anyway. And
those silly wives.
Yeah. And they opened up for Talus, and the 97 Rock DJ introduced them as a brand new band from Ireland. Let's hear it for V2.
V2.
V2?
Yeah. That's
You follow it by the words engine?
He introduced him as V2.
Wow.
I love it. I like that.
I kind of like that better than U2.
I feel like that's an engine, like a V2 engine. Isn't that a thing? Engine?
Yeah.
No, a V2 engine is a bike.
Oh.
V2 is a rocket.
Yeah, that's what I.
There you go.
It's a rocket, a bicycle, or an Irish rock band.
Ooh, there you go.
That's what we should do. We should do trivia one night.
Okay.
I'll lose every round. I will always be wrong, and that time's intentional.
I'll ask the questions.
Yeah.
Then I'll definitely be wrong.
Sue, what is your number one thankful album?
So I'm gonna keep it super short and sweet. I went with, due to the day that we're on today, I went with Sheriff by Sheriff, 1983. Only because of one song which we happen to dance to. So
you know what's on my list? Ask Mark and Sue why they didn't name their wedding song.
There you go.
And you did.
Yeah.
Good job.
So,
Sheriff by Sheriff. I love it.
So When I'm With You. It's a good song.
It is a good song.
Probably not the best song to dance to at a wedding, but
oh well.
what we
It
did.
doesn't matter. It
Yeah,
was
you
special
can't
to
you can't
you.
dance on that long hanging last note. You just have to
You go
kind
like
of
this. You dip
stand there
and
and
you
look
hang.
around at everybody
That's-
looking at you going, yes, it'll end. Trust me. It'll
That's
Oh,
the
dip
dip.
and hang.
That's
Almost
the
That's
did.
dip
dip.
moment.
The dip
Yeah.
and
Oh, is
hang.
it?
Yeah, see?
Not
So
with your bad back.
it's good. I just got called a dip on my own show. Anyway,
Mark,
It's not
I
your
mean,
show
Sue,
anymore.
Sue, I'm happy you did that. That's so good.
So-
I was like, if somebody doesn't mention their wedding song, I'm going to be mad.
The break dancing was a bit much, but it was still a good wedding.
The break band.
My wedding song was "Just the Way You Are"
you.
by Billy Joel.
okay.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Good one.
well, this isn't what the show is about.
Just so you
everybody.
know, when Sue's card is upstairs and underneath it is a CD that's wrapped, you can guess what CD it is. I found
Oh,
it.
you
in you.
just ruined the surprise. But
Wow, it's a rap fitted. It's a rap CD.
Happy
Yes,
anniversary.
it's the sheriff rap version.
It's
Way
a
to
I
wait
rap
thought it was-
till 7:30 at night
Wow.
to give it to you, by the way.
Sick boy.
So that's Jeff or Craig. You're next.
Yep.
Oh, okay, so I'm gonna finish with an album from the '90s, but by my second favorite band of the '80s. And I when I was choosing, okay, what's going to be the last one that really meant something to me, and I could have picked it. I thought like, okay, I want to pick a record I worked that really was close to me, and I was thinking like, okay, do I pick the Traveling Wilburys record, which was great? Do I pick Tom Petty's Wildflowers album, which is brilliant?
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, like, well, I got to pick an REM album here somewhere in the bunch. So which one do I pick? So I just threw a ball up in the air and down it came with Automatic for the People.
Wow, love that record.
And I mean, which was a great follow up to Out of Time.
Mhm.
And then after that, they come out with Monster, which just smacked you in the face. But they were my second favorite band after U2 from the '80s, and I wanted to pick something that they did in the '90s, and this is it. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yep.
And with
Nice.
that note, that comes
Yeah.
full circle around to the Beatles, who started everything out with
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
Ah,
Nice.
Yep.
I love it.
But
I love it.
Poetic.
All right. So I
We
guess
saw Radiohead.
Got very quiet. What did you
It
say,
did.
Jeff?
We're just
Oh,
oh, Richard Marx.
no way, Richard Marx.
Dick Marks.
without this record, what would I not have? Would I had a concert date? Best friend, high school.
Oh no.
I know the t-shirt doesn't fit anymore, but I remember just enjoying the time together, sharing the moment. It's a fresh singer-songwriter, ballad, rocking out. And that was for everybody knows, that was the old amphitheater at Darien Lake.
Yep.
I don't want anyone to ever say to me, it don't mean nothing. It meant everything to me. So
Nice.
I love it.
Cute.
Perfect. Perfect. Because if you had
So-
said it was that Voya band with the screaming guy,
no.
I was like, we're out. Okay, you
Well,
redeemed yourself, Mark.
okay.
That's awesome.
Okay, very good. Nice,
some of
nice
you
call
redeemed
with Dick
yourself in the
Marks.
eyes
Yeah.
of the deaf.
I have two honorable mentions I want to throw in there really quick.
Wow.
Two bands who have meant lots to me. I don't even rate them. I just love them. One is Bat Out of Hell 1 by Meatloaf.
Mhm.
And the
I
other
was listening
one,
to that song yesterday.
and another one, his band and the street choir, Van Morrison.
Man,
Oh,
Van
that's a great
Morrison
record.
has
Van
always touched
Morrison.
That's a great
that big
record.
heartstring in my life.
He's got a new album coming out.
No, he does. But his last albums have been so damn strange. I've listened to every one of them, but they're
So he's covering everything he knows.
yeah.
Yeah.
and more and then
And
some.
then some.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to do honorable mentions. You can save them, people. I'm sure these are albums that'll mean something somewhere down the line. But I don't want to cut anybody off, but I'm sure we're way over our time limit.
Yeah, we're
So-
going on almost an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
We knew
So-
that was going to be a long one.
Yeah, well, with everybody being on, I think it's fantastic. I don't know.
Fun.
Maybe it's too much for people, but this is real. That's what I love about it. I mean, I can sit there and give an album review, but what did it mean to you when it was happening, and what that's our music connection, it's the background of our lives. So on that note, I thank all the panelists. It's all of us here from Beyond Your Radio tonight who joined me for this one. Our next one is in 2 weeks, and it is albums you won't believe that we actually love.
Oh,
I love it.
So
Okay.
bad. I can't believe anyone's listened to them.
Yes, so they'll be
I
like,
think
wow,
I'm gonna.
really?
I think I'm gonna be in Rome, so I don't know if I'm gonna be there for that.
That may be, yeah. Well, we'll see if it pulls. If you
Fine.
pull it off,
Excuses,
but, yeah.
excuses.
So basically, it would be when I hold up the album, you're gonna go, ooh, what? No, really?
Yeah,
Ooh.
gross.
I love
That
it.
one?
Sorry, can't put it down, and you'll be shocked. Anyway,
That one, really?
as
As long
always,
as long as it's not Air Supply.
no.
I love
I do not
Me
own an Air Supply
too.
record.
Sue and I'll do our own show.
There we
We
go.
like Air
I
Supply.
listened to
Oh
enough.
no, look, it's Mutiny.
I
Mutiny.
listened to enough Oingo Boingo because of Halloween.
Hey, it's a dead man's party.
Yeah.
Leave your body at the door.
Yeah, but this show's
So-
a weird science.
We could do this all night.
No, I gotta go to sleep.
Let's
Gotta
end.
go to sleep,
Let's
right?
end this thing, Mark.
Yeah. So anyway, we're on the web at
Only 5:30 here.
www.beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Visit the website. There's all kind of articles there. But what you need to do is go back through all these crazy videos and everything that we've done and hit like and hit the comment button. Where are you? What are you doing out there? By the way, we did go up 10%. 10%. So it's all Everett. But anyway, thanks for watching and happy listening.